Welcome to another episode of the Small Business Podcast, where we bring you inspirational conversations with visionary leaders who are shaping the world of business and technology. I'm your host Maheen, and today we have an exceptional guest joining us. Our guest today is Natasha Walji, the Managing Director at Google. Natasha wears multiple hats, including the title of Chief Mom Officer and Director of Telco, Government and Tech at Google. She's not only a member of several board of directors, but is also a dedicated advocate for making a positive impact in the community. Natasha's passion for giving back has led her to spearhead transformative initiatives, especially during challenging times like the pandemic. Under her leadership, a group of Googlers in Canada successfully supported over 1,500 non-for-profit organizations through Google for Non-Profits. Hi, Natasha. On behalf of Canadian SME, I'd like to welcome you to our Small Business Podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well. I'm very pleased to have you with us this afternoon. Now, Natasha, without a further ado, let's dive into this insightful conversation with you as we're eagerly waiting. We know that your role at Google Canada is undoubtedly a significant one. Could you start by giving our listeners some insights into your current role and what it entails, and perhaps share with us why you are so passionate about supporting the small and medium-sized businesses ecosystem here in Canada?
Well, thank you for having me. And I'd love to start with that question. I think why is the ultimate question, isn't it? So first of all, my mandate is to work with small, medium businesses every day to help them grow using our AI-powered products, marketing products. And why I'm so deeply passionate about this is because we know that SMBs are the lifeblood of the Canadian economy and of communities coast to coast. They power 55% of our GDP. Mm-hmm. And I also believe, just having spent so much time with SMBs over the last year since I got into this role, that they are the lifeblood of our innovation economy as well. And the other side of it for me, this is the reason why I'm so passionate about it, is because both my mom and dad were small business owners, and I had the chance to work for both of them as I was growing up. So I have very intimate knowledge and understanding of the heart, the creativity, the ingenuity, the intelligence that goes into running a small business. And so I just feel deeply connected to the small and medium business owners that I work with, because I do understand that it's not easy, and that it takes a lot of energy and effort to have a successful business.
We love the passion behind your, behind the goal of supporting the SMB community here in Canada. Now, Natasha, as we approach the busy holiday season, the retail landscape is undoubtedly evolving rapidly. Can you shed some light on the trends you're currently observing in the retail sector and how Canadians are adapting their shopping habits?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a fascinating year, 2023. We almost haven't had a normal year since pre-pandemic. And what we're seeing is that, if you look at what's happened over the last 3 years, so in 2020, the retail holiday season was pretty much entirely online. Then we moved into 2021, we had inventory challenges, so there was supply chain challenges. So we saw a bit of scarcity, shipping delays. Then last year, we had too much inventory, so we saw a lot of deals, etc. And so I think we've entered 2023 with, again, a little bit of uncertainty as well, given everything that's going on. But some notable trends that I wanted to share with you today. So the first trend I wanted to share with you today, I'm going to share 3 or 4 trends that I think are really notable. The first one I wanted to share with you is that last minute shopping is kind of out. So only 13% of Canadians are doing their shopping last minute. Now, I'm going to be honest, I might be one of those Canadians, but that's getting smaller and smaller over time. In fact, what we know is that almost a quarter of Canadians will have completed all of their holiday shopping by Halloween. Mm-hmm. And so I guess my message to retailers now is you've got to be present the entire season. And what we're seeing is that for the average kind of number of weeks that Canadians are shopping is 9 weeks. From the time they think about it until they're completed their shopping, it's about 9 weeks. So even for my own self, I think about it, and then might take a little longer. But that's a good thing to keep in mind, because what that means is that you need to be present now the entire holiday season, not just for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. The second sort of big notable trend, I'd say, is how important the digital channel is. Arguably, it's your most important channel. And the reason for that is that even if we look at our own shopping behavior, many of us are going online. Now, what we see on our side is that 92% of Canadians are going online before they actually go into a store to research, if you can imagine that. So that means digital is super important, not just for driving sales online. I know that's not always easy for everyone, but actually digital contributes to all of your sales, whether your customer transacts online or offline. And then the third consideration that I wanted to share is that more and more Canadian businesses are now going global using digital marketing as a platform. So my most advanced customers, the ones that are growing the fastest, tend to actually export their product and services to other markets, and specifically the US market. And we're seeing a lot of cross-border retail growing. In fact, globally, that's grown 8%. And I think this is going to be a huge opportunity for Canadian businesses, especially because a lot of other markets actually like buying Canadian products and services. And we know many beloved Canadian brands that have gone global over time. And then my fourth point, I'm going to sneak it in there if that's okay. I know you're like, let's keep moving, but I'm going to sneak it in there, is about AI. So I think that AI, and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that, is pretty much your ultimate tool to unlock a more predictable and profitable season. If you use AI as it relates to marketing, I think that's the way to kind of navigate this uncertain period around holidays. So those are my four sort of insights I wanted to share with you.
No, you're right, Natasha. AI is such a buzzword in the business world, but for many small businesses, it might appear daunting. And to add to that, it's no surprise that Google continues to invest heavily in AI, like with applications spanning from enhancing user experiences to addressing critical global challenges. Could you share your insights on the significant value that AI can deliver to business owners and why it's worth considering even for resource-strapped SMBs?
Yeah, I think it is the buzzword of the year. You're right. And I think that it's really important that we understand it. So I wouldn't mind sharing a quick definition for SMBs, because I think that's a good place to start. And I have so much heart for SMBs, and I can imagine that it is very overwhelming. I'll tell you, I work at Google, and the amount of discussion around AI and perspective, it's a lot. And so I'd like to start with very simple definitions, and then we'll get into like the value that SMBs can derive from it. But the first definition I wanted to say is artificial intelligence is effectively the ability for a computer to think and learn. So the ability for a computer to think and learn. I think we use all these buzzwords, but I like to keep it simple. And then generative AI, which is all the stuff we've been seeing with Bard and ChatGPT, is actually computers creating content. So generating content. So that's kind of like two big things that I want you to kind of keep in mind. And then we're in the middle of like the third big technological shift. So the first one was the internet. Then we had mobile devices, and now we have artificial intelligence. So I think that's important to keep in mind. We're sort of in this big third era. And what's interesting about Google, as you mentioned, is that we ran our first machine learning model. Do you know when we ran it? It's hard to remember, but it was 1998 actually is when we ran our first machine learning model. And so we've been investing a lot in the advances in AI. And in fact, one of the kind of platforms is actually a paper written on it for any of you techies out there on transformers, which is actually open source technology. And in the T in ChatGPT stands for transformers, and that's open source technology that we've provided to developers as well to kind of keep building on AI. Now, one thing I will say about AI is we really want to do things bold and responsibly. We know AI has the power to transform every industry, whether it's healthcare, addressing climate change, et cetera. But when it comes to business, which I think is a question you were asking me, we know that there'll be trillions of dollars of productivity unlocked, and 75% of that value will come from four functions for businesses. And I think this is really important for small business owners to keep in mind. Number one, customer operations, like how you service your customers. Number two, sales and marketing. So I'll spend a little bit more time on that. Number three, software engineering and development. And number four, research and development. So those are like the four areas where there's going to be the most value and productivity to be had. And I think one of the biggest areas of value and opportunity for small business owners is in sales and marketing and the marketing function itself. So let me know if you want me to kind of dive a little bit deeper. I shared a lot there, but I'm happy to share more on that as well. I mean, I love this topic too. I started my career as a developer, so I always get a little excited about this topic. But take me wherever you think would be most helpful now.
No, we'd love to build on this question. Now, Natasha, for those small business owners who are intrigued by the potential of AI, but are unsure of how to take the first steps, what advice would you offer to help them get started on their AI journey?
Well, first of all, I wanted to circle back a little bit because I don't know that I totally covered the value question a little bit, and I'll come back to like what they can do immediately. If that works. So I just want to make sure I'm clear because I know I'm juggling many things while listening to this. But I think the number one value opportunity I think in marketing is using AI to power marketing to drive more predictable and profitable results. So what do I mean by that? I mean that when you're looking at marketing, the way I work with my customers now is they tell me, I'm going to give you $1 in marketing. It's not usually $1, just by example, $1 in marketing, and here's a return on investment I'd like to see. And that really is the future of marketing. Because when we have a sense of what return on investment we'd like to see from marketing, then now at Google, we actually have marketing products that can actually market accordingly to drive that outcome for our partners, for the businesses that invest in us. So I think that's a really important area of opportunity, and I see that has very strong resonance for very busy business owners, because the outcome is predictable. And I think this is really important. Business owners are dealing with so much unpredictability, but when they, for example, partner with us and they say, okay, I'd like to see a 5x return on my marketing investment, they can start seeing the cash flow immediately and in a predictable fashion, because AI effectively generates that outcome. And that's how we've designed our products now. And I think what's really exciting about that is we are leveling the playing field. So small, medium business owners are getting the same technology that large business owners would have had before, where they can use that AI to then again generate an outcome. So that's kind of like, I think, the biggest opportunity area. And then when you think about where to start, I know a lot of business owners are nervous about AI.
Right.
And they're worried that, we're going to be competing with AI. But I love this one quote that one of our lead product leads shared with us, which is, you're not competing with AI. You're competing with business owners that are using AI. Okay, so you're not competing with AI. You're competing with businesses that are using AI. And I think that's a really important mindset for business owners, because, they're going to disrupt. A new business today that's able to use AI into how they work with their customers is going to do a lot of disruptive things and going to be a key competitor to you. So I think that's a really important mindset I wanted to share. And so that's a good segue into the things that you should be doing, is really leaning into a culture of experimentation. And so what I mean by that is trying things, and, ideally in a lower risk moment, but just trying things out is really important. And so seeing what tools you have available. So for example, I have a lot of my customers using a lot of our search AI features or our new kind of enhanced products that are more artificial intelligence driven, to just test and learn and see what they're seeing in terms of outcomes. And that's been really good for them to kind of get into the rhythm and experience of experimentation. And you could apply that to anything, whether it's trying a chatbot. I saw one of my customers, Majuri, was using a chatbot, for example, for customer service operations. We had another customer, Clearly.com, that was using virtual try-on for glasses. I see you've got lovely glasses on. So they have that virtually, which is very helpful if you can't go to a store. But I think these testing and learning is really good, because it will give you data. And I think that's the second point that I would make, is using that data to be agile. Because I think that's really important for businesses, is to use data to inform how you navigate so that you can kind of be adaptable. And then the last thing I'd share in terms of what to consider to do immediately is leaning into partners. And I think that's really important, that partners can help, share expertise, give you perspective. So in our case, we would often work with media agencies, creative agencies, and small, medium businesses to help them evolve into an AI kind of first thinking. But your partners can really help you learn and grow as well. So those are the things I would be thinking about.
No, it's really clear, Natasha, that AI holds great promise. But what are some practical ways that Canadian businesses, both large and small, can leverage AI technologies right now to enhance their operations and competitiveness?
Yeah, so I was thinking about three things, actually. So number one, I think that your online presence is very important. And however you can make searching on your site better, the better it is for customers to then find what they're looking for and buy from you. So that is a really important thing that you can enhance. And there are lots of ways that you can use AI on your website. I know our cloud team has a feature that allows you to do that can make searching just easy for your customers. And then optimizing their path to purchase is really important by extension. The second thing that I think that I see retailers doing is using artificial intelligence and machine learning models to do demand forecasting. So we talked about how unpredictable the retail season was. We had too much inventory one year, not enough, the next year. But there are models you can use many, many signals to then actually forecast the type of inventory that you would need at a different time of year. So I want to encourage small, medium business owners to use tools like that. And our cloud team actually does do that. And the last one is in customer service. You and I talked about that earlier when we were talking about value creation, and customer operations and servicing is one huge area. And there are AI-powered customer service chatbots that businesses can use that can be very, very valuable for small, medium businesses. I know even in our Google My Business platform, there's a chat feature in there that can be asynchronous and helping our small, medium business owners use that, and then enhancing it with AI to then be responsive, I think is a really good cost savings opportunity, for example, for small, medium business owner that's really practical.
Oh, great insights there, Natasha. Now, beyond AI, as we gear up for the holiday shopping season, what other emerging trends should Canadian small and medium-sized businesses have on their radar, especially to ensure they make the most of this critical time of the year?
Yeah, so I think what I'd say is that Canadian consumers, on one end, they want to save, and on the other end, they want to splurge. And so I think it's really important that we, understand that there's this ongoing tension between spending and saving, and people want to stretch the dollar. So what we're seeing on our end is that customers are researching more and more to identify products they want to buy. So the more curated your online experience is, the better for them then identifying you as a product that they want to buy. At the same time, too, they value discounts. So I think it's important to kind of see what moment you want to layer in discounts that kind of preserves your margin. But I think that's going to be an important part of just thinking about the holiday season. And I'd say what's important by extension is just being present online the entire season. I think we talked a little bit about this earlier, is, people aren't as last minute as they were before. And only 7% of shoppers are actually going to be doing their shopping on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. 7% of sales will be done on those 2 days. Mm-hmm. And that's down from many years ago. So what that tells you is that customers are basically present throughout the season. And so you want to be thinking about how you're present online the rest of the season. I think also personalization is really helpful this season. So they're looking for a lot more personalized products, I should say. And so what we're seeing is that the searches for things like best searches are up quite significantly year on year. And we see a lot of, people looking for even more specific things that are kind of more personalized over time. So I think that's an interesting area. And then we talked a little bit about online immersive experiences. The kind of, for example, virtual try-on. I think that's interesting to keep an eye on as customers go seamlessly between being online and in store. Whatever you can do to kind of help them understand your products online before they experience in store, I think that's really helpful. What we're seeing, for example, is even in YouTube, when people are trying to review products, we see a lot of searches for like Shop With Me are up 35% year on year. And we see a lot of searches, near you is actually up 25% year on year. So I think keeping in mind that when you're present online, that's just helpful as people are doing their own research, whether it's on YouTube or search or wherever else, to have that online presence strong so that when they decide to buy, you're who they choose in the end.
Wow, we've really explored the dynamic world of Canadian businesses, the exciting trends in retail, and the transformative power of AI. But Natasha, before we conclude our discussion today, could you recommend any specific resources or tools that small businesses should explore to stay informed, adapt to changing trends, and continue to grow?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked. I always say one thing to all my customers, which is you should be doing our free things really, really well, because we have for a lot of free tools. So number one, we have a holiday hub for small businesses, which we will send you so that you can send out to or include in the link of the podcast. And that's really important. The second thing is just having your free Google My Business profile live with reviews, because it will help you stand out on both Google Search and Maps. So it's really, really important that you have that live. Even within that, we've got some chat features you can enable for free, enable your hours, etc. Very, very important as people are exploring, businesses. And then even including your inventory is possible as well using a tool called Pointy, and that will help you also freely promote your products using free product listing ads. So highly recommend that. If you have live inventory that's easy to connect, that's a really powerful tool. And the last plug is that our Holiday Hub this year is available in both French and English, and it's got pretty much gold in there in terms of ideas on what you can do, and many of them for free.
Wow. Thank you, Natasha, for sharing your profound insights and expertise with us today. Your perspective on the ever-evolving world of business and tech are truly invaluable, and I'm sure our listeners have gained a wealth of knowledge from our conversation today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Natasha Walji, the Managing Director at Google. Before we go, we want to express our gratitude to the partners who make this podcast possible. A big thank you to our banking partner RBC, our shipping partner UPS, and our accounting software partner Zero for bringing you these enlightening discussions. If you found today's episode insightful, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with our network. Stay tuned for more conversations with industry leaders and innovators right here on the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Until next time, I'm your host Maheen signing off.